This is Entrepreneurs Get Visible, the podcast for people who want more impact, influence, and income. I'm Anna Parker-Naples, and I'll be sharing with you proven methods from leading entrepreneurs that help you get visible as an authority in your field. Because anything's possible when you get visible. So today I want to talk a little bit about being intentional. And what I mean by this is actually deciding where you're headed. Where is it you want to go with your business, with your life, with the kind of person you want to be? Because my experience has been that if you're just coasting and you're not really setting your sights on where you want to be and what you want to create, you're just going to continue in the same kind of old fog that you've been in for a long time. And one of the best things that has worked for me is to actually set big goals, to have that idea about where I want to be, the kind of person I want to be, the kind of business owner I want to be, the kind of recognition that I can have for my work. And if I didn't set those goals in the first place, they wouldn't happen. And I like to remind myself on a daily basis of where I'm going. And that for me includes journaling, that includes affirmations and statements of intent, which I talk about a lot in my best-selling book, Get Visible. It also is about checking in weekly with where I'm heading. It's about checking in monthly with my goals. It's about having a quarterly, a 90-day check-in. And it's every year sitting down and thinking through where I want to be and what kind of business I want to have, so that I'm strategic about getting the results that I want. So one of the books I'm going to recommend to you today is called Best Year Yet by Jenny Ditzler. And it breaks down lots of different categories of your life that you pick and choose yourself as to what's important. So these might be business, this might be family, this might be relationship, this might be health and fitness, this might be other areas of your life where you are perhaps switching off and maybe socializing. This might be about giving back to community in some way. And it gets you to look at all of these elements and bit by bit break them down into much smaller chunks of things that you want to achieve. And what I love about this book is that she walks you through the whole process, and then you set yourself a 3-hour workshop, which you do on your own. You do solo with no interruptions, no distractions, not even any music or anything like that, so that all your thought, all your energy is going into becoming really strategic and intentional about the kind of year you want to have. Now, for me, that year planning is actually much further on than that. It's about thinking, where do I want to be in 5 years' time? Where do I want to be in 3 years' time? Where do I want to be in 1 year's time? And obviously then you break those actions down into what that looks like for your 12 months. Now, interestingly, I was on a podcast with the super lovely Nick Bradley for Scale Up Your Business podcast, which is doing really, really well in the iTunes charts. And we recently did a joint podcast with Entrepreneurs Get Visible and Scale Up Your Business. And when I was doing my research, I did a little bit of listening to lots of Nick's early episodes. And one of the things that he talks about in one of his episodes really early on is that he does a 20-year forecast of where he wants to be. And he said that that feels so far away that it's extreme. But if he didn't have that in his sights in terms of the kind of person he wants to be, when he's 45 at the moment, for when he's 65, then he's not going to build that pathway to the kind of life he wants to live. And for him, that included the kind of levels of money he wants to be able to give to charity, the kind of impact he wants on community, the kind of big personal goals, which seem really audacious and so far out there. But for example, I can't remember where it was, whether it was a baseball team or a basketball team or an American football team. I can't remember. But his big audacious goal is that he is on the board or that he owns or co-owns part of one of those teams. And you think, yeah, it's so far-fetched. But actually, if you are intentional about your life and you know that over a 20-year period, you want to bring into your life those people that would support that goal, then all of a sudden it doesn't seem so far-fetched. So go and have a listen to that episode. The episode's on Entrepreneurs Get Visible and on Scale Up Your Business. But we had a great chat. We started that podcast with full of all sorts of planning and goal mapping as to what that conversation was going to be. But once we just got talking, we just connected and away we go and away we went. It was really wonderful. And I think that's one of the important things about setting intentions is that, yes, you're building that roadmap, but it doesn't mean you're not going to stop and enjoy the view along the way. It doesn't mean that you can't have all those wonderful moments of synchronicity that happen. And I think actually when you're intentional about what you want, more of those moments, more of those chance encounters happen because you are aware of them. You are setting your subconscious to say, this matters to me. Bring me all of those opportunities. Let me see them. And I'm not talking here about law of attraction. Although some people would see it in that way, what I'm talking about is you actually reminding your brain about the kind of information that you want it to filter. So ordinarily, if we're telling ourselves that we're not capable of something and that something is too far-fetched, we could never do it, well, actually, all your subconscious is going to do is show you all the information to support your belief, because your subconscious follows your direction. It follows your orders. So start by being really intentional about the orders you are giving your subconscious. And actually, these big goals, these big dreams, these big ambitions suddenly are not so far-fetched, and they are something that is achievable to you. So yeah, I am now in the process of creating my best year yet. And for my free community, I'm going in December to do an online workshop for free for that. And then I'll also be doing something slightly different for my paid membership, Get Visible Club, because I think this stuff is really super important. So that is it for today. If you are someone who has never yet sat down and written out your goals, maybe you think it's a load of phony, maybe you don't do it, start thinking about that. It's one of the reasons why vision boards work well for people as well, because you are, one, being intentional about what you want to bring into your life, but you're also reminding your subconscious about those things, and you're constantly seeing them, so they become just part of that background story that does then become your reality, because you are reminding your brain and you're giving it strict instructions, clear orders as to what to bring towards you, what to filter, so that you are seeing it instead of filtering it so that you are not. If you've read my book, you'll know that every second that we live through, we are filtering and getting rid of nearly 2 million pieces of information about what's going on around us. So what happens if you filter the pieces of information that support you saying, I can have and I can achieve, rather than filtering the ones to your attention that tell you that you can't? So I will be sitting down over this month to bring this best year yet planning to my own business. I have my own kind of slant that I do to it, but also looking lots more at what I want to create for my life. So as you've probably seen, if you've been watching much of my journey, I've had a very, very busy year with award winning, and I've completely transformed my business and my audience levels, and obviously a best-selling book and a number 3 iTunes podcast. Now, those things are because I was very intentional about them. And in some ways, I've actually ticked many of the big ambitions off my list. So what next? And instead of just coasting, I'm going to be really intentional about what happens next. So I urge you, if you don't do it yet, start to check in with where you're really going, because that is the way that you make sure you get there. Thank you for listening to Entrepreneurs Get Visible. To get your free checklist on how to raise your profile and to find out about our community, go to annaparkernaples.co.uk/get visible.